Okay, so you're looking for the best RV dehumidifier and maybe feeling a little overwhelmed with all the choices out there.
Definitely a lot to consider.
But don't worry.
You've come to the right place.
That's right. We've got a ton of research and expert advice ready to go to break down everything you need to know.
And choosing the right dehumidifier is crucial, especially in an RV.
Absolutely.
You know, where that humidity control is key for comfort and also preventing damage.
Exactly. And, before we even start talking about specific models,
Yeah.
we found this really fascinating fact that honestly might just change the way you think about dehumidifier brands.
Really?
Yeah, get this. Most dehumidifiers, no matter what the brand name is on the front, are actually made in just a handful of factories.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, we're talking like giants like New Wide Tech and Gree pumping out dehumidifiers for all sorts of companies.
So it's like the secret of the dehumidifier world.
Right.
But what does that mean for consumers then?
Well, it really highlights that the brand name itself might not be the most important thing.
Okay.
Instead, you really want to focus on the company's reputation for quality, reliability, and their customer support.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, think about it this way. You could have two dehumidifiers, one from a big name brand, and then one from a company that's lesser known.
Right.
But they're both built in the same factory,
Yeah.
maybe even with similar parts.
Okay.
But the difference is really in that quality control, the materials they use, and just the company's overall commitment to standing behind their products.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like buying a car.
Exactly.
You know, you're not just choosing one based on how it looks.
Right.
You want to know about the engine, the safety features, the manufacturer's reputation.
Exactly. So let's dive into the two main types of dehumidifiers you're going to come across.
Okay.
Refrigerant and Peltier.
Okay.
Refrigerant dehumidifiers, they're like the workhorses, right?
Yes, they are.
They use a refrigerant, kind of similar to what's in your refrigerator,
Okay.
to cool the air and condense moisture. They're really good at removing a lot of moisture, especially those with a capacity of 20 pints or even more.
Yeah, those are powerful.
So just to make sure I'm picturing this right.
Yeah.
The air is drawn into the dehumidifier, passes over these cold coils, the moisture condenses, drips into a container, and then that drier air is blown back out.
You got it.
Okay, perfect. And I guess that's why they're so great for RVs.
Exactly.
You need something that can really tackle humidity.
Yes, especially if you're dealing with those high moisture levels or you're living in the humid climate.
Right. Now, Peltier dehumidifiers,
Yeah.
those work a little differently.
They do.
They use something called the Peltier effect.
Interesting.
Yeah, involves passing an electrical current through a semiconductor, creates this temperature difference, which then causes condensation.
Interesting.
They're often smaller, more portable, and usually cheaper than the refrigerant models.
Yeah, so they sound pretty appealing.
Yeah, on the surface, right. Smaller size, lower price tag.
Right.
But there's got to be a catch.
There is.
What is it?
It's the effectiveness, or should I say lack of effectiveness. House Fresh, they do fantastic unbiased product testing, and they compared a Honeywell refrigerant dehumidifier to a Nine Sky Peltier model.
Right.
The results were pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The Honeywell, it brought that humidity down to a comfy 49% and just kept it there effortlessly.
Wow.
While the Peltier model really struggled to even hit 63%.
Okay.
It just couldn't handle the moisture.
So it's that classic, you get what you pay for.
Exactly.
You're serious about controlling humidity in your RV.
Yeah.
A refrigerant dehumidifier is the way to go.
For sure.
And speaking of performance, let's get into the nitty-gritty of what makes a dehumidifier really shine.
Okay.
What are those factors that influence a dehumidifier's performance and reliability?
Right.
And how can our listeners make sure they're choosing a unit that's not going to let them down?
Great question. One of the first things you've got to think about is the size of the dehumidifier.
Okay.
Or really, its capacity.
Right.
It needs to be the right fit for your RV size and the humidity levels you usually see.
So how can people figure out what size is right for their RV?
Our sources recommend a 20-pint dehumidifier for RVs up to 500 square feet.
Okay.
And as your RV size increases, you'll need to look at models with higher capacities.
Right.
Usually going up in increments of 10 pints.
Got it.
So for example, a 30-pint model for a 750 square foot RV, a 40-pint for 1,000 square feet, and so on.
Okay.
And if you have a really spacious RV or you're in those humid climates a lot,
Yeah.
You might even need a 50-pint dehumidifier.
Wow, so that's pretty big.
Yeah.
But is there such a thing as going too big with a dehumidifier?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oversizing can actually backfire.
Mm-hmm.
A larger unit will use more power, which leads to higher energy costs.
Oh, that makes sense.
Plus, it might cycle on and off too quickly, which can actually reduce its lifespan and make it less effective overall.
So it's all about finding that right balance.
Exactly.
And speaking of energy, we can't forget about efficiency,
Right.
especially for RVers who are mindful of their power consumption.
Yeah.
What's the deal with Energy Star certification?
Energy Star certified dehumidifiers, they meet these strict efficiency standards set by the EPA,
Okay.
which means they use less energy to remove the same amount of moisture.
So it's like getting more miles per gallon, but for your dehumidifier.
Exactly.
I like that.
It might cost a little more up front, but you'll save money on your energy bills in the long run.
Yeah.
And it's better for the environment, too.
That's awesome. Are there any specific ones you recommend?
You can actually search for dehumidifiers with an efficiency factor of 1.95 liters per kilowatt hour on the Energy Star website.
Perfect. So this is something I wish I knew before buying my first dehumidifier.
What's that?
Internal pumps.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they such a headache?
Well, I mean, they seem convenient, right?
Yeah.
You just plug it in and the water gets pumped out automatically. But they're known for failing.
Really?
They can get clogged, they can leak, or they just completely stop working.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
And repairing or replacing an internal pump is a real pain, especially in an RV where you don't have a lot of space.
That's like the last thing you want to deal with.
Exactly.
So what do you recommend instead?
Instead of relying on an internal pump, opt for a dehumidifier with a gravity hose or a simple bucket design for drainage.
Okay.
A gravity hose lets you drain the water continuously to a sink or drain, while a bucket design lets you easily remove and empty the collected water.
Got it.
Both options are way less prone to problems and much easier to handle in an RV.
Okay, so we've covered size, efficiency, and why to avoid those internal pumps.
Yep.
What are some other features our listeners should be thinking about when choosing a dehumidifier for their RV?
Keep it simple.
Okay.
Resist all those fancy, smart features.
Right.
They might sound cool with all the bells and whistles, but they often add extra complexity and costs.
Right. So we don't need a spaceship. We just need a dehumidifier.
Exactly. Its primary job is to just remove that moisture
Right.
effectively and reliably.
Got it.
And sometimes the simplest designs are just the best.
I agree.
Focus on those features that directly impact performance and how easy it is to use.
Okay.
Like a clear humidity level indicator, easy to clean filters, and a user-friendly control panel.
So it's all about getting back to basics.
Exactly.
It's a solid, dependable machine that does its job
Yeah.
without all the extra fuss.
Exactly.
And don't forget about drainage.
Right.
A gravity hose or a large, sturdy bucket that's easy to carry and empty makes a world of difference.
For sure.
Oh, and speaking of buckets, the Midea Cube caught my eye when we were doing our research.
Oh, yeah.
It seemed to tick all the boxes for a good RV dehumidifier.
It does.
What are your thoughts?
The Midea Cube is a great example of a well-designed dehumidifier.
Okay,
It prioritizes functionality and ease of use.
perfect.
It has a larger than average bucket,
Nice.
which means you don't have to empty it as often.
That's always good.
Plus, it has the option for a gravity hose if you prefer continuous drainage.
So you get that flexibility.
Exactly.
Now, we've talked a lot about the technical stuff, but brand reputation is also important, right?
Extremely important.
Especially when it comes to appliances like dehumidifiers.
Yeah, you want something you can rely on.
Yeah, it feels like choosing a brand you can trust is super important,
It is.
especially with something like a dehumidifier.
Right, you're investing in something that's going to play a key role in keeping your RV comfortable and healthy.
Absolutely. You're not just buying a dehumidifier, you're buying peace of mind.
Exactly, and that's where those established brands really shine.
Okay, like who?
Like Midea, Frigidaire, Honeywell.
Okay. Yeah.
They've been around for a long time. They've been refining their designs
Right.
and building that reputation for quality and reliability.
So you know if something goes wrong, they'll be there to help you out.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's tackle some common questions we came across during our research. First up, is it always necessary to buy the latest dehumidifier model?
You know, it's easy to think newer is always better,
Yeah.
but with dehumidifiers, that's not always true.
Really?
The core technology hasn't really changed that much in recent years,
Okay.
so you're not missing out on a big revolutionary breakthrough by going with an older model.
So instead of chasing the newest thing, it's better to focus on finding a model that fits your needs and budget,
Exactly.
even if it's not the brand new one.
Yeah.
Another common question is, how often will I have to empty the bucket?
That's a good one. It depends on the dehumidifier's capacity and the humidity levels.
Right.
But this is where something like the Midea cube really stands out.
Yeah.
That larger bucket means less trips to empty it.
That's always a good thing.
And if you want to minimize the hassle, remember those gravity hoses we talked about?
Oh, yeah.
They let you continuously drain, so no more emptying the bucket.
That's awesome. Now, what about using a dehumidifier in the bathroom?
We don't usually recommend it. Bathrooms are already pretty humid.
Right.
And adding an electrical appliance like a dehumidifier can be risky.
Yeah, makes sense.
Plus, most bathrooms have exhaust fans to remove that moisture.
So it's best to just stick with good ventilation.
Right.
And leave the dehumidifier for other areas.
Exactly.
Speaking of expert recommendations, we also came across the Travel plus Leisure Trusted Seal of Approval.
Oh, yeah.
What's that all about?
So that seal means the product went through some serious testing and evaluation by the experts at Travel plus Leisure.
Okay.
They're known for being thorough.
Right.
So when you see that seal, you can be sure the product has been checked for quality and performance, especially for travel.
So it's like a team of travel pros vouching for the product.
Exactly.
Sounds like a good thing to look for.
It is.
All right. So to sum up all this great info,
Yeah.
if you're ready to find the best RV dehumidifier, here's what you need to remember.
Okay.
First, most dehumidifiers are made in just a few factories.
Right.
So the brand's reputation is key.
Really important.
Second, for RVs, refrigerant dehumidifiers are the way to go.
Agreed.
They're the best at removing moisture.
Yeah, those Peltier models might seem tempting.
Yeah.
They just can't keep up.
Third, choose the right size
Yes.
based on your RV's square footage and humidity levels.
Important.
Too small and it won't be effective. Too big and you'll waste energy.
You got it.
And don't forget to check for that Energy Star label
Yes.
for an efficient model.
Next, keep it simple when it comes to features.
Okay.
No internal pumps.
Right.
Opt for a gravity hose or a sturdy bucket for easy drainage.
And remember that brand reputation is important.
Yes.
Choose companies like Midea, Frigidaire, or Honeywell. Finally, be a smart shopper.
Oh, wait.
Look for those independent sources of information like HouseFresh.
Yeah, they do the real testing.
Exactly.
So you can make the best choice for your RV.
Perfect. Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into RV dehumidifiers.
It's been fun.
It has, and we hope you found it helpful.
Lots of good info out there.
Remember, informed decisions lead to confident choices.
That's right.
Happy travels, and may your adventures always be dry and comfortable.
And mold-free.
Exactly.